So my advice to you would be to keep it tight, keep it right until after the show. Very important, etc. That means the best overall look in that class. You will hear that term quite often. For our newbies that are here today, that's exactly what we mean by that. What we're looking at is the overall muscularity, symmetry, balance. If you are able to possess that, great. I know some athletes it's a little overbearing and it does not help them, but it hurts them. So you got to be very careful with that. Sometimes that can really hurt you. I hear it all the time, you know, that men's physique is bodybuilding without legs. And it is not. So if you're listening to somebody that's telling you that, they're completely wrong. We don't want somebody that's doing men's physique that has thick, dense muscle. That's not why we started men's physique. When we originally started men's physique, the outlook and the hope was to have a obtainable, everyday Abercrombie look that anybody off the street could do after training. If we wanted bodybuilders doing men's physique, you know, why have a men's physique class? That makes no sense. And when you're practicing your poses, you should be practicing holding your poses for a minute. When you're posing and you're practicing your posing, you're going to dread doing it because it's like a workout. You're going to sweat. It's going to take a lot of energy out of you. Back double bicep. Now, I'm going to see what he's doing here. That's important. Do that. You see that? Lean back. Capture the light. If you don't do that, you're washing yourself out, or we can't see all the hard work you put together.
You know, I'm a coach myself now, and so I just say, you gotta suck it up. That's basically what it boils down to. I mean, if your desire to be the best that you can be outweighs that ache or pain that you have, I mean, you could just learn to deal with it. What if I would have just handled that situation a little differently and did the best I could to go on stage and present the best that I could? What if? And nobody wants to live with that.
For me, it's about tenacity, guys. You know, again, 19 years old to 50 is how long I've been competing. So 31 years, and that's how long it took me to get my pro card. Now, barring any injury, I'll give the pro stage a shot.
I turned pro in 2013 at the NPC Junior Nationals in pro fitness. Smack it a couple of times while I'm talking. It's been a journey. It was a journey getting to that point and finding the NPC, and that was my home. My perception of things have kind of changed over time, you know. Now I'm 33, I have a family, I've had kids, you know, and my, there it is, right there. My priorities have changed, you know, and my view on how to approach the sport has not just been what's my next goal, what's my next win, what's my next show. Now it's turned into what's the longevity that I could achieve in the sport. Kind of like what Ann was saying. I want to get back on stage. I'll be back on stage in about 13 to 14 weeks, shooting either for the Puerto Rico Pro or the Toronto Pro coming up. So I'm super, super excited getting back on stage after having kids. But it's almost to prove it to myself that I can keep going with this sport, even though I've had kids, even though I have a family, even though I'm, you know, another decade older, and it just keeps going. And keep in mind that you guys can do that too. It doesn't, like Ann said, you don't have to be 20 starting out. You can be in your 30s, you can have a family, you can be in your 40s, your 50s. And this is a sport that it keeps getting better as you keep doing it. So stay focused, stay disciplined, keep pushing forward, because that's going to continue to allow to improve over time, no matter how old you get. This is something that can stick with you forever if you want it to. Thanks, guys.
Really familiar with this. I did about 13 national shows Is this working? Okay. 13 national shows, and 9 of those were top 5 placements. 3 of those were runner-ups before I got my pro card. So it was a long journey, and what I'm trying to say is don't attach your confidence to a placement. Really kind of take a step back from what everyone else is doing and really stay in your own lane and just keep going, because I am proof that I'm like gonna get emotional that you can do it. You can go pro.
The gym since I was 16, but at the same time I didn't get on the stage till I was 37. I'm 45 now. It was kind of a long path. The first time I did a show was 2011. That was the Midwest. I did it in physique, which was the first year we had physique, and also did it in middleweight bodybuilding. You know, looking back at that, I listened to what the judges said. I needed to put on some size. I needed to work on conditioning. There were body parts that lagged. More chest, shoulders, and arms, but not enough back, not enough leg. So we all have places that we need to work. Work on your strengths, maintain your strengths, but attack your weaknesses so that they do become strengths. And I think a lot of people, we tend to just go to what we enjoy, and we fail to attack the things that we don't like. We normally that's legs from those guys.
Number 1 is for the ladies, especially with social media in this era of social media. Don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to be strong. Don't be afraid to lift the weight. Don't be afraid to look how you want to look. Like I said, especially for females, they tend to get a lot of feedback, a lot of negative feedback, especially when they're first starting out on this journey. So any negative comments that you might receive from anybody, even if they're well intended, is more of a reflection on that person than you. So keep doing your thing, keep lifting the weights, and look how you want to look. So that's number 1. And number 2, for everybody, be patient with yourself in this sport. Let it take you where it's going to take you. Let your strengths show. Let your weaknesses become your strengths. And take your time with yourself. I started out in bikini. I transitioned to fitness. I might go back to bikini. Your life does crazy things, and this sport can really show you a lot about yourself. So just ride with that and appreciate every moment that you have.
One of my tips would never let one of your placings affect how you feel about the show. I felt like I should do better at some shows. There's people that I thought I would beat for sure. There's other people that beat me, and it goes both ways. You never know. So just never get disappointed about a placing. After I got 15th at my pro debut, I did my next one about 4 months later. I got 4th. And then the next year followed with a 3rd place and a 2nd place. So just don't doubt yourself. I never would have expected that, and I did it.
You know, if I kind of had to give you guys a piece of advice, going into Chicago at Junior Nationals, I felt terrible. I didn't want to compete. I was exhausted. I had dieted down so much. But I just had a lot of people kind of rooting for me and telling me, continue, continue, continue. As Ryan stated, it's so expensive at that point. You know, I was like trying to come up with all this money to make sure I could compete at Junior Nationals. Well, I obviously made it work, and I felt like I was on my deathbed, but I won the overall show, and I wouldn't have it anyway. So I guess the best advice to tell you guys is if you want something and you're really truly passionate about it, the pain or the suffering that you're going through at that moment is temporary. So go for it. If you want to go pro, continue it over and over again. There's people that they might go pro pretty quickly, you know, and that does happen. And then there's people that it takes them years and years of sacrifice and hard work in order to get their pro card. But if it's something that you want to do, it can be accomplished. You just have to continue to strive for it and get through the terrible moments of suffering, right? It's only temporary. Thank you.
Brooke and Stacy will be competing at the St. Louis Pro Show, which is arguably one of the biggest in the country, against some of the best talent in the world, not the country, in the world. And Brooke has held her own to be the runner-up, you know, a few times. Stacy is primed herself to be in a good position to be in the top 5 for sure. And that's a testament to what we're producing in the Midwest. So if you could do me a favor, give it up for our pros one more time, please.
I just wanted to share some important tips as far as prep goes, because a lot of you are dieting right now, and you really have to count the little things. The little things are what matter. And I think that when you're training and when you're doing your cardio, that you need to maintain a level of intensity and focus while you're doing that, and you need to carry that out through prep, and you actually need to bring that up, and which is counterproductive because your body doesn't want to push harder when you're eating less food. So you have to use mental strength, and you have to do a lot of self-talk in order to do that. And I believe that when you create that deficit by being more intense and training harder with less food, that is what allows you to get that crazy conditioning that's required to win shows and to compete at higher levels.
Kind of prepping for your tan. You'll want to stop with the tanning beds about 3 days before. You also want to make sure you don't wax more than 3 days before the show either. The day before the show, you're going to exfoliate your whole body, and you can use our hair weight to get rid of all the hair. You want to make sure that's all off. Don't forget your underarms. We see that every now and then you guys forget to shave their arms. So make sure you do that. So we have that hair away. It's really gentle. It smells really good too. And then after you remove all the hair, you're gonna use our Get Buffed. I have a bunch of samples in the back, so make sure you grab some of that. It smells good too.
Here, you're wanting to create and showcase as deep of a drop in your hamstring, as full of a hamstring as you can showcase. And you're simply coming back here and showing off your side chest. You want to make sure that you turn enough to give a nice, good picture. And this bicep here is pressing against that rear pec to give the fullest look that you can. You're trying to create a tabletop on that back pec. And you can
No, so I wouldn't even think about your feet at all. Like, don't even think about them. Just think about how your body should be positioned. And your feet will just step out further and like really push that glute towards me. Make that more dramatic.
Profile here, because I want to see the shape of this instead of and then nice. Perfect. Okay. Pull this elbow forward so I'm seeing this shoulder cap here. And show me a little bit more profile glute. Yes. So over here. And when you transition, I want you to bring this foot in and switch the weight and drop this arm. Yep. And then from there, you can just step straight out and show me profile. Before you head that back. Yes. Perfect. All right. Sweet. Practice that.
It's going to depend on what, it's going to depend on what they want you to do. But generally, you're going to go out on stage, you're going to hit your one front pose, you're going to turn around, you're going to hit your rear pose, you're going to come back, you'll raise your hand and you'll move to the side. The next guy's going to do the same thing. Then they're going to take, out of the 15 or 20 guys that you have in your class, they're going to take the top 5 guys out of that. Then you're going to line everybody up, and you're going to hit your front pose, you're going to hit your back pose.
So I learned by setting this arm first. So start here, set that arm. So that's really all you're doing. Okay. And then you just want to turn with this one. So just make sure that one's not moving, which is going to keep you, ready. Yeah, that's good.
That day allow?
Yes.
Just, let's maybe John
That's excellent. Again, there you go. Perfect. You want to full cut as hard as you can go. Elbows just a little bit higher. Okay, perfect. Right there. Right there. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Oh man.
0-2-0. Hey!
go.
087. 063. No 063. 006. Uh, 040. There you go. 003. Seriously. That's what. I hope this is a guy. Please let this be a guy. This is not going to be a girl.
Let's see it in the back.
What? 042.
Sorry.
So I tell all my posing clients, before you walk out on stage, you need to be on the side of the stage, building up and developing some sort of glow or some sort of magnetism to draw people to look at you.
How I transition, I usually just bring my leg in, and then I'm stepping profile. Do you want to explain that, please?
Sure. Yeah. So depending on, like, if you have really big quads, which isn't very common, you're probably not going to want to do toes out. So that's going to kind of flare your quads out. But I would say 99% of the bikini girls do their toes out because it's going to make your glutes just automatically look really nice.
Will you get in that back pose? So the lines that you're looking for in this back pose, you get this like glute triangle that comes in here, and then it obviously goes back up. When you're turning your toes forward, you lose this line. So that's why she was saying, like, if you don't have, or if you have big quads, you may not want to emphasize those as much as you would turning your toes out. So if you need that extra shape and you want this line, you turn your toes out and it completely changes your back shape.
Are you ever flexing your abs?
Especially with transitions. So I don't know if I would say if I'm flexing them. And I know some girls like vacuum. I think it looks weird. So especially in transitions, when you're turning, always like it helps to take videos too, because I would find myself, especially from the back, when I was turning, I would relax my stomach and it would show a lot in that side pose. So just always keep it tight.
All right. On the count of three, guys. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do a couple here. All right, now we're going to do a fun one. On the count of 3, let's do your favorite pose, whatever y'all want to do. All right? 1, 2, 3. Yelling at me. Come on now. All right, that's good. Thanks, guys. All right.